Welcome everybody to the Detecting History podcast. And I'm really excited that I'm here today with Tom and Matt from the Detector Maps app. How are you guys doing today?
Great. Thanks for having us on.
No problem.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you, Katie.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. I'm really pleased to have you on. And just so the listeners can get a bit of an insight, there's a bit of a time difference. Obviously, people can tell by the accent. You're down there in Australia and you're already on Friday, very early in the morning. So I really appreciate you getting up so early to speak to me today. And I'm still on Thursday in the evening. So I've just had a nice steak dinner. Thank you very much for making this work for us and for the listeners as well. So before we talk the tech, everybody wants to hear about Detector Apps. We've all seen it. It's launched in England now. It's a fantastic app and I've been beta testing it as well and raving about it on my YouTube videos and my own detecting life. But where are you based in Australia, first of all? Because I think that's important.
So we're based in Queensland, Matt and I. I was previously living in North Queensland, working for a gold mining company. I've been in mineral exploration for 10 years. And that was kind of how I got into detecting and stuff. But now we live basically together, actually, and we've moved in together to focus and help us kind of progress things forward and, come up with new ideas and stuff and work as a team. So, yeah, we're in Brisbane at the moment.
Yeah,
Lovely.
Brisbane, Queensland. Yeah.
Gorgeous. I've never been to Australia, but I do enjoy watching all the Aussie shows. So yeah, one day I'll be there. And did you start off as hobby detectorist or did you sort of launch yourself straight into gold prospecting? How did it all start for you?
That's a super interesting question because mine's probably bit of a different story to everyone else. I was actually using a detector to find gold for mineral exploration companies. So we sort of would go out there and we'd have these targets and stuff, geology, that was kind of my area of expertise. And then we were finding, little pieces of gold here and there and using that to justify, larger expenses like mineral exploration, drilling and sampling and stuff. And then one thing led to another. I bought my own detector, which was a gold detector at the time, a GPX 4500 from Minelab about 8 years ago, and got permission to go on a property where I knew there'd be a lot of gold, and then ended up finding a lot of gold. So that was what had me hooked, I guess. And then Matt's
Mine's a bit different. I started, probably a little bit after Tom did. Tom kind of got me into prospecting. I was never really exposed to it. So yeah, Tom definitely got me into it. And I've been prospecting for 5 years, but it's been definitely more within the last couple of years since we've been developing the app. And I've learned so much developing the app. So, but yeah. And yeah, no. So the last trip we went on, when was the last trip? That was to Cloncurry, wasn't it, Tom? And we got, that was when I got my first 7-gram nugget. So that's, yeah. And then we got about 2 ounces at the end of that trip, I think. So, but that was using the Detector Maps app as well. So
Amazing.
Mainly features and really going into places that you kind of, you go 10 hours to one place and then you have to drive 5 hours inland basically to get to the spot. So
to where you want to be. Super interesting. Such a different experience, as you say. You're out there and you're gold prospecting, and then here our treasure is the hammered coins, from Henry VIII, or a gold Celtic coin or something like that. So a very different experience. Can you talk us through sort of like an average day then when you were going off to do that? What would your start time be? Like you say, it's a big old trek to get to where you were. What were the conditions like? Was it like super scorching? What was it like?
It's pretty brutal. Yeah, it's pretty brutal. So we would go, it would be a 10-hour drive from where I used to live. It's 18 hours from here to one of our favorite spots.
Uh-huh.
But that's to the nearest town. And then once you get to that town, it's about a 4-hour drive. It's only 200 kilometers, but it's, rugged and there's bits where you can go fast and bits where you got to go really slow, and it's four-wheel driving. You get into a place where no one goes. There's probably maybe one or two people that have been there in the last 10 years. So it's very remote. You got to take all your own water, backup fuel, backup tires, solar panels, fridge. To be in there for a week. So, and that sort of, if you're going all that way, you want that much time, So it's a big mission to get in there. And then once you're in there, I guess, you're basically just sleeping in a swag, which is like a small, like Australian kind of canvas tent. And you wake up as soon as the sun comes up, I guess, with the birds. And just go sometimes even before the sun comes up, because with gold detecting, it's a bit different. Like the detector's very sensitive, and particularly to like EMI, and when the sun comes up and the ground gets hot, they can get a bit unstable sometimes, particularly in Northern Australia. So sometimes you'd wake up, before the sun comes up, and that's oftentimes, you can run over a place you've run over before, and you'll find 2 or 3 or 4, nuggets that you missed, because the detector is just so much quieter. So it is pretty like surreal experience, being that far away. But then in the middle of the day, it can get to like 35, 40 degrees Celsius, and you've got to take a break, and it's hot and hard, and you don't shower for 7 days. Like it's pretty gross, but it's a lot of fun, and it's worth it. I've got some gold here, like we've found some pretty awesome pieces.
Go on, show us. That'd be
I can
amazing.
show you if you want. Like this one's pretty
Look
cool.
at the size
and
of that. Amazing.
This one was from that location.
Cool.
So we find some pretty cool stuff out there, and it's amazing to think, like, the geology out there. That piece of gold came out of the ground in rocks that were 1.5 billion years old. So we don't get the modern history that you guys do, but
Yeah, the human side of
in a way, it's like ancient history.
Super ancient history, yeah. When we talk to the guys in the US, they're like, "Oh, I found a 1900 penny." And we're like, "Haha, we find 2,000-year-old coins." You're like, "Haha."
Yeah, if we went to the park here, it'd be like 1980 bloody
Yeah, exactly. But
Queen Elizabeth.
You're digging up things millions and billions of years old in the rocks there. It's amazing. So
Yeah,
you
it's
two must be
cool.
quite competitive, right? Is there a battle who's found the biggest amount of gold in one hit? Who's winning?
Yeah, look, last trip we
I'll definitely
tied. We
get more
literally,
experience off me, they say. He definitely comes out on top most of the time.
yeah, last trip we tied. It was a dead tie. Like I was winning the first couple. We actually are pretty competitive. Yeah,
I
was
see
winning
it.
I was winning the first couple days, and then Matt found a spot at the end and just like cleaned up, and yeah,
Nice.
so
Excellent.
yeah.
It's really interesting what you were saying there about the heat of the sun and when it messes with the signals. Just a couple of interviews ago, I was speaking with Ellie, Miss Detectorist, who's one of the big Instagram faces here for metal detecting. And I was saying to her, we were talking about conditions, and I said, it's funny for me in the summer, I have to go really early in the morning, because by the time the heat and the sun comes up, I lose the signals. And that's completely matched in with what you've just said there, Tom. And I hadn't realized I was actually hitting upon some science there. I mean, we talk about planning and taking like a backpack with a couple of snacks and water there, but yeah, you really got a plan to survive, haven't you? Because no one's coming to help you anytime soon. So very interesting. Okay, cool. When you were doing all that and taking everything for a week, and you were looking at all your records, and you were looking at all the maps, and you were looking at all the LiDAR and everything else, were you kind of thinking between the two of you, there must be a way to simplify this?
That kind of goes back to that first kind of detecting trip that I did. At the time, I don't know if you've seen the Australian maps, but we have a heap of like soil data in there, and geochemistry, and data that's been collected by mineral exploration companies in the past. And all of that gets published, but no one really knows how to use it. And on my first trip, I went to a spot where there was just one soil in gold, like high soil value in gold concentration. And I ended up finding about 10 ounces in an area that would only be, as big as your garage, a two-car garage. So it was,
Wow.
it was kind of gave me an idea. Man, I wish I could put this like on my phone and just walk to all the spots. In the app we have, it's probably in Australia, I don't know, probably, I think we worked it out once, it was well over 10 million points, like geochemical points. So there's a lot of information in there that people just weren't using. And that kind of gave us the idea to put that all into your phone, basically. And that would kind of, and then one thing I guess led to another, and we started putting more information in. And then we kind of realized we were putting information from all these different sources that we used into one place. And that was kind of how I guess the app was born. And that's the whole idea behind it. Just simplify as much information as we can that we're allowed to, because there are some layers that and bits of information that we're not allowed to use commercially. Even if we've spoken to some of the providers and they still won't really let us use it in a free kind of way. But the idea is to get as much information in there so that people don't have to go to this website, that website, and then put it all together. And, you know, we want it to be in your hand so you can just, you know, if something's not working on the day when you're out there, you can just change direction and, you know, give everyone the best chance of success.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So, as I said before, I was lucky enough to get my hands on sort of the test version before you released it in the UK. And immediately I was like, And for me, before I go out on a dig, what I would tend to do is look at, we've got National Library for Scotland. You can do side-by-side maps, which is where you've got this kind of satellite view, and then you can scroll on the old maps, and then I go to the LiDAR, which is separate, and then I go to Archi or something like that, which is separate, and I'll be doing screenshots, and I'll be like, right, okay, I'll try and remember all of these things. And then with your app, it is all contained there, all in one place. I can see the different old maps that are always really helpful for me. I can see the LiDARs as well. And then you've got these additional layers, which are superb. You've got the Portable Antiquities Scheme information. So you can see where finds have been found. And then not only that, you can click. So on my permission here, where I live, I can click, and sure enough, it takes me to that actual record in the PAS website. And I can see that my finds that I've registered on the website. So it's really, really helpful. I've really been loving using it. And I was saying to Matt, I went detecting a couple of days ago in this field where I found this amazing silver unit, and there's a footpath running through there. So I was obviously turned it on, it was tracking where I was going. And then I could walk exactly to where that footpath was, put myself in the right direction, walk across it. And there's a slider on the app for people that haven't used it before. So I had the slider sort of halfway, so I could see the satellite view and the map view. I could clearly see and keep myself on that line. And then I was finding finds because I was bang on that footpath, obviously. So it was so, so helpful. And I really loved that when you do find something, you can immediately, it obviously plots the point for you, it shows you the coordinates, and you can take that picture as well. So it's a fantastic way to log your finds. And as you say, it's all in one place, which is really, really cool. And then there's a couple of other features that really surprised me. Obviously, you can talk me through some of the main features. Property boundaries, that was excellent. I'd never even found that myself in all of the different desktop apps I could go to, basically. So that was in there. That was great, and I could start seeing the boundaries. So yeah, tell me about a few of those features, and how did you manage to start building the app?
Yeah, so I mean, for the property boundaries one, that was a pretty tricky one to actually compile, because there was all these different, I don't know if you call them parishes or
Yep,
something shire.
yep. Parishes,
There are
districts.
all these different parishes together and basically compile them individually. And then they all have like an Inspire ID as well. I don't know if you know that, but if
Mm-mm.
you click on, they've got this little Inspire ID, and you can use that Inspire ID to search up who the property owner is.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so that's another thing on the main reason as to why we added it. We wanted people to see where they could go and kind of map where they could go, what fields to go on, and then also be able to search the property owner.
Amazing. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
So on those days when I'm driving around and I see this ploughed field that looks perfect, and I think, "Oh, I wish I could go in there." Now I can take a look, and then I can basically trace to see which farm it might be, and then go and ask for permission because I know who to go
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, you
Amazing.
can. Yeah, you can use the Inspire ID to do a search online. I
Hmm.
mean, there's so many like kind of hidden features as well. There's a feature, if you're familiar with QGIS, you can basically create your own. Say you found an old map of one of your permissions. You could basically go into QGIS, register it, and then create a file called an MB tiles and put it in the app. So you can create your own like custom maps and then overlay them with all the other
Brilliant.
data. So Yeah, there's so many features. You can draw polygons. You can there's like download the maps. So if you're going into an area where there's no reception, which is common here, you can download everything. We're working on a few new things as well. So we're working on what we're calling Academy, which is just how to use the app. Basically, there'll also be eventually, when the videos get more advanced, like detailed stuff on how to find gold, all that stuff. We might partner with some guys over in the UK to, do some
Point and release.
more like UK focused videos on, how to report fine to liaison officer and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, we're working. There's a lot going on behind the scenes and some other features that we're going to release that we haven't told anyone about as well. So there's a lot coming. We're constantly updating. We're, reinvesting most of the money we're earning, and Matt and I are living off scraps still. But it's good. It's what we want. So we want to really push it and build something that you can use anywhere in the world. If you go into settings and switch region, Katie, you could plan a trip to Australia tomorrow. That's kind of the goal. So yeah, that's where we're headed with it, I think.
Brilliant. You're doing an awesome job. It's a really slick app, You go into it thinking, oh, wow, this is really cool. And yeah, you're right, that offline maps as well. That's so important because where I spoke again before, where I was using the other apps, if I lost a signal or the signal wasn't great that day, I would think I was on the footpath. And then when it actually coordinated into where I was about 30 meters away and I'd been spending 2 hours like completely detecting in the wrong place. So yeah, I download all my offline maps for sure. Brilliant. Okay. So which features, you've been doing a lot of testing with folks in the UK. Which features do you think are hitting best with those users in the UK so far? And, what has the feedback been like so far?
It's an interesting question.
Yeah.
I think one of the features that some people were really impressed with was being able to filter PAS finds by material. Thank you. Yeah, so you can, in the app, I don't know, if you click on, one of the PAS finds, whether it's Roman, they're all segregated by, Iron Age, Roman, etc., Bronze Age, whatever. If you click on whichever PAS finds you want, and then down the bottom, bottom left, you'll see a little box pop up, and you can click on that and scroll through the different materials. So you can look at gold, you can look at silver, you can look at bronze, copper, whatever, and you'll see only those PAS finds. So it's kind of cool in that way. Like archaeology, you can like there's a trend of silvers here.
Yes.
That's kind of cool. But one of the other things that I actually really liked when we were building it, Matt and I sort of had the idea to add in a heat map for no finds. So you can see places that people haven't detected yet, and there's potentially history there that no one's, kind of uncovered yet.
Yeah.
So that's probably my favorite, actually, I would say, the no finds, because especially in Australia as well, it's so important to know where people haven't been, because once gold's gone, it's gone.
Of course.
And it'd be the same with history, and it's so important, I guess in the UK to kind of report that sort of stuff too. So that's something that we'll be pushing pretty hard as well, because we want to encourage like responsible detecting, and we don't want people doing the wrong thing. People will always do the wrong thing. As best we can, we want to make sure that that stuff is recorded. Yeah.
Brilliant.
But yeah, the no finds, I think.
I'm glad you mentioned that one, because I had spotted that one already, and I'd sort of zoomed out on the map of the UK, and I've been telling folks we're going to be doing a house move sometime soon, and we've been scoping out different areas we might like to live. And of course, number one for me is what's the ground like and what type of finds am I going to find? So I did have a sneaky peek, and I did spot those regions, and I was like, oh, I wonder what's there, because then it'll be me going there for the first time. It's very, very cool indeed. Okay, so I mentioned property boundaries. I've been using over the years what 3 words to record my finds as well. And I know you can export for that, can't you? I don't know whether anyone else has exported their finds data from what 3 words into Detector Maps. Is that something you've done before?
We haven't tried it yet, I don't think, Matt. We were talking about, we haven't tried what 3 words, exporting that into Detector Maps, and we've been talking about doing that. We've also been talking about adding the what 3 words coordinate system just to the UK. So because it's so big over there. So it's one thing that's on our at the moment as a potential improvement that's coming.
That would be dead exciting then. So I could literally just import everything over and then just use the one app then. That would be fantastic. Cool. Excellent. That's on my wish list. Thank you for answering that one. Right, I've got a few listener questions actually in regards to what we've just been talking about and the features. So the first one is from 34 Detecting on Instagram, and they're based in the UK, I believe. So they ask, was it hard to get the Portable Antiquities database on the app, or have they been happy to be involved?
So that database is anyone can download. First of all, I'll start by saying that. It is huge. It is cumbersome. It's difficult to navigate yourself because it is so huge. And there are actually errors in there that we had to fix to get the database into the app. So you can download it. It's available for anyone to download from the Portables Antiquity Scheme website.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, what we wanted to do with it and how we've displayed it in the app, I guess, has made it far easier to digest. So, you know, we've got those kind of at every location. For those that aren't familiar with the data set, it's split. It's actually simplified into kilometre-spaced points to protect the original find location, which makes a lot of sense because you don't want, you know, the wrong people going and destroying history. So the way we have put it in is, you know, we've kind of put it in on that grid, but we've categorized it. So there's little symbols around each point. One will be coins, and one will be kind of jewelry, one will be weapons, and the other is just a miscellaneous point. So that sort of there's thousands of different categories of stuff that's actually in the database. So we've filtered, you know, pulled together hundreds of similar terms for each point, and then they're kind of grouped by symbol at each kind of site. So yeah, it is a very hard data set to manage on your own, but
Sure.
yeah, anyone can grab it.
Yeah. No, there's millions of finds, isn't there, on the Antiquities Scheme website? And that's great that you mentioned those symbols. So yeah, I can see my own finds in the app that I've registered with the Portable Antiquities Scheme. And I did notice the different icons for the different types. One was a Roman fibula and one was a medieval coin weight. So that makes total sense now why they're in those symbol areas. Brilliant. Okay, thank you very much for answering that one. And then also something I wanted to mention was that you've got on there the sites of importance, so the heritage sites and everything. You can see that on the map, so you can, if you weren't aware, it will point to you that actually you need to be looking at that area and checking you can actually go and detect on that area. So I saw that as a real bonus because it might not be something that people are aware of. Next question is from Scott Jack on Instagram, and they ask, why is there no LiDAR for the Victorian High Country? Is this a license issue or a technical limitation?
So that's in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
The Victorian High Country LiDAR. There is some LiDAR through the Victorian High Country. I'll start by saying that. The problem is, so the way that the LiDAR works, we pay a big licensing fee to the Victorian government in Australia. And we also pay them a royalty on the sale of every license. That data is collected by the Victorian government, and it costs a bomb to go and collect a lot of money, like a lot of money. So that's the reason there's nothing there, because the data actually hasn't been collected yet, and they may not have, you know, the reason. If it's a national park, which is in Australia, you can't go and detect in a national park. It's protected. There's probably no reason to collect LiDAR over that area because there's going to be no development. There's going to be no, you know, it's not economically useful information for, you know, whatever they're going to use it for. So they don't collect LiDAR for metal detectorists. I wish they did, but yeah, that's the way it is. So that's probably why there's no LiDAR in the Victorian High Country
It's
at the moment.
different to the UK because, I mean, as soon as we looked at the UK, they've kind of, I mean, it's a smaller area, but they've got all the LiDAR for the UK. So that's why we've kind of included it, and we're planning on including that UK LiDAR into maybe the base subscription, Tom.
Yeah. So in the app at the moment, we have a 315-degree LiDAR with about a 45-degree inclination on it. They're actually looking at And then there's another set of LiDAR data which we pay to host, and it's 9 different angles. So you can basically spin the dial around and watch. All that information has to be stored, and it's terabytes of information, and we pay for it. But we're thinking we're going to try and actually throw that one in and cover the cost of that for the users. So under the base subscription, so they'll have 2 angles of slope and 9 angles of LiDAR under
Wow.
the base subscription in the UK.
Mm.
It's going to take some time to do that because we also want to improve it and make it a bit more. If we're gonna do that, we just want to make it a bit better. So we're gonna work on that over the next couple of months as well, and potentially just include that. Yeah, everyone.
That would be really cool. Off the top of your head, what is the cost of the app in the UK?
Yeah, so it's £50 per
A
year.
month?
I can't remember what the monthly cost is, Matt. What was the month?
£10 a month,
£10 a month. £10
and
a
then
month. Yeah.
£50 a year for the base subscription. And then NDVI, which is a data set we haven't spoken about yet. It's basically, Tom's probably got the best explanation for it, but that's a £50 a year data set that you can purchase. And that is also, it's kind of a similar model to what we've got going with the Victorian government, but it's obviously a UK company,
Yeah.
Blue Sky, and they supply this data to us, and we put it on the app.
Yeah. So one of the things, not many people are aware of NDVI. Have you heard of it, Katie?
No, give me a
Yeah.
summary.
So what it is essentially a measure of crop stress. So it's a really cool data set. You can actually see, old roundhouses, foundations of old buildings and villas and stuff in it. So it's a 50 centimeter resolution data set that's collected by Blue Sky, which take all the photos over the UK for the government. They have big contracts with the government and stuff. And it's actually a thermal infrared image that's taken from a camera from a plane, and it's across all of England. It has coverage, and it's collected in the summer months when the crop stress is highest. So just before they collect all their crops and replow their fields and whatnot. And it is, as it's a measure of crop stress, it also is indicative of soil quality. So if someone in the past, even 10,000 years ago, or whatever it is, 1,000 years ago is probably better. So I'm speaking on geological timescales. 1,000 years ago, had built a building there would be, a higher concentration of stones in the soil, or, something like gravel. And that is shown in the NDVI image. And you can see, crop marks that you can't actually even see in satellite imagery.
Or
Wow.
LiDAR.
Or LiDAR. So LiDAR,
Yeah.
shows you the variations in topography, but NDVI, even if it's flat and there was a building there, you can often see it.
Wow.
At the
That
moment,
is
we're
very
trying
cool.
it's super cool. At the moment, we're trying to give the user the ability to change the colors of that data set themselves so that they can pull out more and more information from it, and they can kind of hone in on
Different areas.
particular measurements, NDVI measurements, but they're real world measurements. NDVI value of between 0.1 and 0.3 indicates crops that are in high stress. And then an NDVI value between 0.3 and 0.5 is like, moderate stress, and then above 0.5 is, healthy or something. So it's it's a real world, and actual archaeologists do use it as well. So it's a very cool data set, and
We will
probably need to
create some
give
videos on it, like in Detector Maps Academy. When we do that, we will have videos from people who've used the data set a lot, and we'll
Yeah.
include that in the academy. So then people know how to use it as well if they do that.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That sounds like a real game changer.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It's awesome. We probably need to give a shout out to Luke Smith and Craig Denny as well, because they sort of put us onto that and shared that with us, and they were keen to see it because they've been paying for little parts of the data across the UK on their permissions, but they were keen to see it over the whole country. So we've managed to come to an agreement with Blue Sky on that to provide that to everyone.
Amazing. That's really cool. And I like that you talk about the different packages as well, because then it makes it accessible for everybody. So if they're not into like the really geeky stuff, then they've got the base package, that's fine. But if you're like me
Yeah.
and like you and you want it all, then you can have access to all of it as well. So that's really great. Awesome. Thank you very much. And yeah, shout out to those guys. That's fantastic. Okay, so moving on to the next section now. So just behind the scenes with the app, I'm sure you didn't envisage this maybe 3 years ago, something like that. I think you've been working on it for a wee while now. But what has been the steepest learning curve for you both?
Ooh, I'd say I don't know the right word for it, but we run into a lot of bugs with developing a mobile app and a web app, and also dealing with an audience that is not super techy.
Mm,
Um, so the biggest, I guess, learning curve I mean, I think both of us is learning to stick, to just keep going,
mm,
and not kind of get strung up on a little bug, because you end up fixing it. And so the biggest learning curve for me, I guess, is just being persistence and yeah, I guess that's for me. But I don't know about Tom. Tom might have a different.
Yeah, I agree 100%. No, it's definitely bugs. I hate bugs like so much.
both types.
Sometimes it feels never ending. Like we'll fix
Mm,
something and then something else will break because we fixed that. And it's just like,
yeah,
you guys might not see it, but for us, it's like in the background, it's just pulling your hair out. And we spend so much time trying to fix that. And that's something we're going to try and address this year is just maybe how we manage that
Yeah.
going
yeah,
forward
for sure.
in an effective way.
So, how much feedback from prospectors has shaped the app to where it is today? So, I mean, you let us on a bit there that some people put you on some sort of great functionality. Obviously, the app's been going for a while in Australia as well. So, how has that helped shape the app?
Say I'd say like we would not be here today if it wasn't for the detectorists who've helped shape it, because they like we started out with a very simple rendition of detector maps when we first brought it out in March last year, and they've basically helped us build most of the features and refine most of the features, so to where it is today for the UK release. So we think we've gotten the app to a point where it's like it's pretty powerful, on both the web and the mobile. So, yeah, I guess.
They've been pretty much everything. Like we've also listened. That's been one of the biggest things. You know, we said from the start we'd listen to the community because, well, I guess we didn't realize at the time, but this would be all consuming pretty well. So Matt and I only really managed to get out twice or three times last year. So we've given up quite a bit to build it, and listening to the people on the ground is probably and what they want, and just little tweaks here and there. If someone wants a feature, if they email us, oh, this, blah blah blah, it'd be cool if I could do this. Well, we'll try and do it. We haven't been
Yeah,
able to do everything, obviously, but we take every single person's feedback on board. Yeah, and if that's something that guys that are listening to this in the UK, and if they have ideas and they want something that they can use, just send it to us and we'll put it on the backlog, which is
yeah.
large.
Take a look at it. Yeah, I can imagine the size of your backlog. Oh, it must be massive right now. But yeah, you've got a sort of a little willing army of detectorists that are keen to help you because essentially you're helping us, right? So yeah, it's great to hear it. And I can attest to the fact that you're very easy to reach out to and someone comes back to you straight away. So yeah, thank you for that. That's awesome. One question I had as well on features. I was wondering, is there the functionality or is this in the backlog where if I was in a field, I could draw like a linear line and then the app might alert me when I was going kind of 5 meters either side. So I was deviating from the path I wanted to take.
That's a
We
really good.
haven't put, yeah, that's a cool idea. We haven't put geocaching in yet.
There you go.
Caching has been floating around in the back of our minds for a
Mm,
while.
yeah.
How we integrate that is, it'd be cool to be able to just draw a circle or a line.
Mm,
Maybe we can do it, Matt. Actually, I can think of how we could
Well,
do it.
Mapbox, the software we use, which
Yeah.
app is kind of built a lot from. I think it does have that ability to integrate geocaching.
mm,
Mm.
So we can do it. It's just a matter of time. I'd say in the
yeah.
Time and
next
code.
I'd say in the next year it'll definitely be probably halfway through. We'll start working on it, and
Yeah.
you should do it at the end of this year, I'd say.
Nice one. Nice one. I look forward to that. I'm glad it's possible. That's dead exciting. We will watch this space on that one. Thank you. Okay, so over to you, really. Is there anything else you can share with us coming up? Any new functionality or any new regions you think? What's the next region you think you'll open the app up to?
Don't want to do well. I mean, we know what the next region is, and that's Canada, but we do not want to release in Canada until we have just tidied up some bugs and fixed a few things. We got some bigger. Well, first of all, we have some stability stuff coming, a few major changes, so that things, because the app's growing, we don't want it to get like laggy or servers running too hot and all that sort of stuff. So we have some
Yeah.
kind of I'd say like optimizations that we're doing in the background, which you guys won't know anything about, but that's on the cards for the next couple of weeks. And then after that, we're gonna release some. We're hoping to release the first parts of the academy, which will include like user guides and all that sort of stuff for some of the more obscure features. People can dive into a hole there. And then there'll be another big feature after that, which we release, which we're tight-lipped on.
Top secret.
And then I think after all of that is done, we'll probably do a bug sprint, like just tidying up a heap of bugs, and because there no doubt there will be. And that'll probably take us out to, I don't know, maybe April, May, and then we'll maybe even June, and then we'll start to work on maybe Canada and new features.
And also, well, in the background, we're always working on kind of or looking at other regions, researching other regions. So the other parts of the UK are not off the cards. They're just probably going to take. They might take a little bit longer, just because we want to see what the growth is like in England, and then see if it's a viable option, which I'm sure it is, to go into other parts of the UK.
Yeah.
So
at the moment, I will also mention the data sets for Roman roads and ancient places are Europe-wide. So
also hill forts, I think, is why it's not just England. And there's a few data sets in there that aren't just England.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Everyone should go check it out. Okay. Anything you wanted to talk about on the podcast? Anything you wanted to bring to me that I haven't asked you a question on already?
Oh, we not. I mean, not really. Not from me. I think we're just really grateful that you reached out and got in touch. And Matt and I, if I didn't have a broken leg, we were actually talking about coming over to the UK and stuff.
Oh, amazing!
Because we do have some contacts that would let us on. So, but maybe we'll save that for more sort of June, July, and come over and say g'day and that sort of thing. I think.
You'll cope with the heat, no problem. The heat you're used to, and we're all melting. You'll be like, this is cool. If you put yourself in someone's shoes and they go and download Detector Maps for the first time, what do you think will change for them?
I think if they're not familiar with the PAS database, they will get pretty familiar pretty quickly. They'll also be able to, they'll be able to, hopefully within a month or two, they'll be able to learn quite a lot about how to use the app and how to be an effective detectorist with some of the other features, that tight sort of lipped one that we're going to launch. There'll be a lot of information that's available to everyone from experts and stuff. And I think that will really change the game in a way, just how to do things methodically and almost with a scientific approach rather than just blatantly walking in a field,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Well, I look forward to that. You're going to have to drop me a voice note or something when that's being released. Give me the exclusive.
I do have a question for you, actually. In your beta testing,
yes,
what was aside from the footpaths and stuff, how did you find the tracking, and had you used tracking before in the UK? I know there are a couple of apps that people do use. But...
Yeah, good question. So yes, I had used tracking before, and I'd used it because I'm an XP user, and they've got their is it called Go Terrain app? I think that's what it's called. So you can use that standalone with any detector. And then if you use it with an XP detector, it will actually log the numbers coming up on your detector as well for you. And so it will know when you're
Wow, that's
about to dig a hole. So when you're going, over an 82, it picks up that you're going back and forth over at one spot, and it will record that signal for you. And then you can add a picture or whatever if you wanted to, if you had a good find. So yeah, I've used that in the past as a tracking app. Sometimes you just want to get out in the field and not have to spend half your time going through the different apps. Or where I am, the mobile signal's a bit rubbish. So like I said earlier, sometimes I just find I was really off track and I'll be like, this isn't great for me. So that's, again, a good reason for your offline maps. It's really beneficial for me.
So is there anything that you think, like with that, we could improve on? Did you notice like something we could do better and add in?
So the one I mentioned earlier about having so I could secure myself in a little spot. I could draw myself a circle and then it would alert me when I walk out of the circle. Yesterday I walked down, it must have been about a 50-meter sort of footpath line. And I checked maybe every 10-meter or so, and then I'd find I'd just veered off. And then I came back and I guided myself back on again. I just veered off. So yeah, if I could draw like a little bit around that footpath, that it will then tell me if I've gone off in completely the wrong direction. I think that would be really beneficial for me. Yeah, for sure.
I will say as well, and this was really important in Australia because we didn't want people getting lost. So we've built in like caveats into the trail recording. So if for whatever reason your phone shuts off randomly or you accidentally shut the app, it will still save that trail. The phone, even if you run out of battery. So if your phone's,
yes,
it will
you did
still
that for me
save
the
the
other
trail.
day. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't lose all your information, which is really important in the bush because people will wander miles from their car and then their phone crashes or overheats and they go, oh crap, like I've lost my trail, how do I get back to the car, blah blah blah. So yeah, we've incorporated that as well. So there's a heap of stuff in there that's just it's becoming quite a robust app.
It really is. It really is. And I can attest to that, your last point there. I'd found the find of my life, my best find so far. I'd been tracking. I managed to save it and log it. And then my phone died, my own fault, because I'd gone out with hardly any battery and I was videoing for YouTube as well. And then I sort of came home and I was like, oh, and then I remembered to charge my phone. And then, yeah, sure enough, it was all there. It wasn't that I had to press save and wait for it to save it. It automatically done it all for me.
It's just great to speak to you, Katie, and yeah, we appreciate the time. And
no, thank you.
Yeah.
Honestly, really great to get you on. My last question for you then really is, where can people follow you for all of the updates that are coming that we've been discussing, all the secret stuff, and reach out to you to provide feedback? So if you could just let them know your website and where they can find you on Instagram, things like that, that would be great.
Yeah, so on Facebook, it's just Detector Maps.
Brilliant.
So they can always reach out to us there through either messaging or they can make a comment on one of our recent posts. And then Instagram is Detector Maps as well. And same goes, you can message us or just reply to a comment. And on our emails, it's hello@detectormaps.com.
There you go.
And that's where we get all our emails. So, and we're pretty fast. We try to respond to them on the day, but again, it comes down to how busy the emails are.
Yeah.
Usually within 1 to 2 days.
Yeah, it's rapid. I've experienced it myself. No waiting around for 5 to 10 days like my mobile phone provider. It's a good service. Tom, I can't thank you enough. It's been a pleasure meeting you. I hope I get to meet you in real life in 3D when you do come over to the UK. And a big thank you again for letting me test Detector Maps. And well done. It's a fantastic app and I can't wait to see how it evolves over time. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Katie. Thanks.
Right. Take care. Bye-bye.
See you. Bye.